Well, good morning. We're live on LinkedIn and we're also live on YouTube. So thank you. This is the LinkedIn Lead Generation Masterclass, currently at week 4 of a 13-week program where we look to support people that are small business owners, people that are kind of looking to generate more leads for their business. And part of the program is we look at LinkedIn in quite a bit of detail, but we look at complementary methods that really enhance what we're doing on LinkedIn and give us extra exposure. So today's topic is all about, how to effectively follow up with prospects via email. So email is a great solution. Obviously, if a conversation starts on LinkedIn, that works really effectively. But the next best thing, is always email, and taking that conversation away from the LinkedIn platform. You can always dip back into LinkedIn, but email is really powerful. So the masterclass is around about 45 minutes long, where we're going to dive into a bit of an introduction and an overview where this sits in with kind of the what we're doing at Leadeth. And we'll then move into kind of 5 steps on how to prepare your email accounts, because it's no good just sending emails. We need to ensure really high deliverability levels. So to do that, we've got lots of tips to share with you on how to do that. We'll look at best practices for follow-up, the actual process. We'll look at some email tools that you could be using. We'll dive into one of my favorite tools, and also ChatGPT, how that can be of a super duper helper to help you to actually script out those email marketing campaigns, and how we can then kind of automate some of this email stuff within the Leadeth platform, because the Leadeth platform used to just be a LinkedIn messaging tool, but it's actually got email marketing built into it. So we're going to dive into that in a bit more detail as well. And then we'll finish off with some Q&As at the end of the masterclass. For those of you who are joining me in the Zoom, thank you to Richard, Tina, and Valerie. Feel free to come on, and also Steve's joining me as well this morning. So now's a quick chance for you guys just to say hello if you want to, and introduce what it is you guys are up to. And it'd be good to understand what you guys are doing in terms of email marketing. So hello, good morning, Steve. Now, Steve is the main man. He's actually my mentor, my coach, my accountability buddy. So it's great to have you with us on the live masterclass, Steve.
It's great to be here. I was just one slot away from that prize.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, for those who missed that, yesterday we did a live draw. Yeah, you were. That was so unfortunate, Steve. It was,
They would have said it was fixed. We
should have just blown the ticker a bit more and it would have made it. But yeah. So Steve, in terms of email marketing, what's your experience of email marketing? That's the subject today.
Great.
Where does that fit in with what you're up to? And maybe just introduce yourself to our live.
Hi, I'm Steve, right? As Alex very kindly said, I'm proud to be his accountability buddy. And as much of a mentee as a mentor. My business is around workplace coaching, and particularly looking at the market for mid-level managers, middle managers that are having to turn into coaches to manage their teams, their direct reports, make them more engaged. And it's a new business for me. I've come out of sort of regular IT as a manager myself, moving into the coaching space. So the big thing for me is my primary focus is LinkedIn, and in terms of my platform of choice. And I've limited experience with regards to email marketing, with regards to sort of putting campaigns together. So that's why I'm here, and I'm looking forward to sort of learning from at the feet of people who know a lot more than I do.
Great. Well, we see what we can do this morning. But yeah, thanks for the intro, Steve. Anyone else on the live Zoom room wants to introduce themselves? For those that are on the LinkedIn Live tuning in, these masterclasses are actually a part of an interactive Zoom session, and you can actually join us live if you head over to our website, leadeth.io/masterclass. Pop your credentials in there, and you'll get an email link every single week just before we go live, and a day before, just to remind you, and that will help you to connect with us on the live stream as well. So yeah, great. Thank you for coming along, Steve. Really good to have you with us. So just a quick reminder, what we're looking at today is email marketing. We're going to look at 5 steps to prepare, best practices for following up, tools including ChatGPT, automating campaigns using the Leadeth tool as well. So just another quick welcome from myself. My name's Alex Smith. 10 years of experience in kind of LinkedIn marketing, worked with various businesses to develop effective strategies for generating leads. And, today is the day we're dipping into some top tips and insights, which is focused around kind of email marketing. So throughout the session, there's lots to learn, some proven strategies that I've tried and have generated me clients as well. So by the end of the session, hopefully you'll be a bit more equipped with some insights and actionable tips that you can take away, and hopefully set some actions and try some of this stuff to smash your LinkedIn lead gen goals. I tend to bring this up every other week. This is the classic funnel effect model. So just to put it into perspective in terms of what we're doing, any business has to generate that awareness. And once they've generated the awareness, this is like a funnel. Every step gets thinner and thinner, and the number of customers at each step decreases, a bit like liquid flowing through a funnel. After awareness, when that prospect has become aware of your services or brand, they move down to the interest stage. And the interest is when they're thinking, they're considering you, weighing up their options, comparing you to maybe other people. And then they move into the consider stage. That's down into the purchase stage, where they become loyal clients. You retain them basically for a long time. This has been kind of modernized now, and we call it the flywheel model. Much newer marketing model. We attract clients, we engage, we delight, and then they become raving fans advocating for us, which in turn brings more people to us, like kind of referrals or recommendations. So it's an excellent cycle. And obviously email marketing fits quite nicely in kind of almost every step of that. Email is purely a communication strategy, and we can utilize it at every step of our marketing funnel. But a lot of people use it right at that top step, cold email marketing or outreach, to really kind of drive in some initial leads and prospects. So the way we work at Leadeth, we've actually got basically a 6-step process taking people on this journey. Looking at target audience, we then look at how to align your personal LinkedIn profile to that audience. We then move into some LinkedIn automation stuff. And this is number 4. So the next follow-up stage is to kind of engage with them on email, take the conversation away from LinkedIn, and then nurture them. So we're looking at how we can start to automate some of these follow-up emails by connecting with prospects on LinkedIn, and using also bulk email marketing automation. So there's some tools that we're going to look at as well that will do that. As I say, this is the roadmap. So email marketing, stage 4 is quite an integral part. Stage 5 is more about content and inbound activities, as opposed to kind of all that outbound stuff. And then number 6 is appointment setting. We look at setting up CRMs, all of that fancy stuff, the tech side, and making sure that you've got all these leads coming in, make sure you know what you're doing with them, and they're not getting lost. So having decent systems in place to capture that data is vital. Right, let's move into email. So some top 6 email marketing stats here. This came from HubSpot. I use HubSpot as a CRM tool for a number of years. Apparently there are 4 billion email kind of users each day. I mean, it's a huge figure there. 37% of brands are actually increasing their email budget. It's one of the trends that they've seen. Majority of marketers use email to leverage mobile-friendly emails as part of their marketing strategy. And that's a key thing here, making the email super duper responsive. So many people are traveling, they're commuting, they're on the move, they're picking up these emails on their smartphones. So it's really important to keep I always give for plain text emails. The days of kind of fancy HTML emails just get caught up in spam and junk email, I find. So short and snappy emails, just a plain text message, can actually work in your favor and work really effectively. We'll look at a bit of segmentation, because that really helps us to maximize what we're doing with email marketing in terms of a campaign strategy. 33% of marketers send weekly emails. So yeah, about a third of marketeers are doing emails on a weekly basis. That's quite cool. 26% send emails multiple times per month. And 77% of marketeers have seen an increase in email engagement over the last 12 months. There was some HubSpot stats. I think I picked them up kind of just towards the end of last year from HubSpot. So how can we start to think about email? How can we prepare for it? So I call this deliverability. It's the part where we explore the crucial steps that you need to take in order to ensure the actual email you want to send to someone actually reaches its intended destination and its recipient. So as a kind of as a business owner, you want to make sure your messages don't end up in that spam folder or get bounced back. So that's why when you start to think about how to prepare an email campaign before you just go and start collecting emails and pushing something out, there's a few crucial steps that I like to consider. So we're going to look at best practices for the kind of the technical, the geeky side of the configuration. These include something called DKIMs, and there's some other essential settings that we'll look at, as well as language and content tips that will really help you to improve the chances of getting that email landing in the inbox where you need it to go. So hopefully by the end of the session, you'll have a clear understanding of the factors that are going to impact email deliverability and what you can do on your side to really improve, to make sure they get delivered smoothly. So let's dive in. Preparing for email. There's a bit of a super duper quick masterclass giving you the basics. So what I always tell clients to do is the gold standard would be to set up a separate email account, so a separate domain for your email outreach. And the reason I do that is because it helps and avoids your current main email address potentially being blacklisted and not getting delivered. Now, often when people come to email, they're sending, several hundreds of emails, several thousands quite often. My databases are around about 3,000. And if you're using your main email address, and you're starting to explore with email, you might accidentally send, too many emails or send some test ones out. And the risks are that your domain is going to get kind of blocked by email servers around the world. Potentially. Now there's quite a few of these email servers, probably around about 80 or so, and you can actually check them. We'll go into some of the tools that you can use to check that. But kind of when you're preparing that email and you're kind of getting on your feet with email, you do lots of things wrong. Stuff works, stuff doesn't work. So it's important to do it on like a test domain that's not going to impact the deliverability of your main email address where you're sending proposals and quotes from, because you don't want your proposals to get caught up in spam and junk. So it's vital to kind of prepare with something like a secondary domain. So I've got leadith.io. That's my main domain. That's where my website sits. And then for email marketing, I tend to use my leadith.co.uk domain. And that's going to be purely for email marketing, where I can throw in unsubscribe links and all that sort of stuff. So that's quite key. Now, getting the new domain, obviously you go to someone like GoDaddy, someone like that. You pay about £10 a year, and then you've got that for as many years as you want. You can renew it, so it's not going to cost you the earth. But what it will do is it will start to protect your account. The next thing you need to think about is to set up, is to warm up the domain, and this is a process where if you've got a brand new domain name, obviously spam servers will think, hey, this domain is only a couple of weeks old. It could potentially be spam, because that's how kind of phishing and scams on email work. People will just get a silly domain, not even warm it up, and just start spamming lots of people. So when we have a warm-up process, that's going to really enhance what we're doing in terms of email. And the way we warm up an email inbox is simply by preloading it with lots of emails and then building up the number of emails on a daily basis. So you might start with maybe 5 or 6 emails. They go to another email address, and then you receive 5 or 6 emails back on as a response to those emails. Often that's just made up emails and you don't even know where they're going. It just happens for you if you use tools. Some of the tools that I've used in the past for effectively warming up emails are email warm up. If you search for email warm up in Google, warm up inbox and it's actually a sponsored match, but that's the one that I've previously used to warm up a brand new email inbox. I'll just show you how it works super quickly. So once you've got this warm-up inbox set up, just sign in. And we share this with the notes. So if you're following back, you can see it. So basically you come in and you'll connect your email inbox. I actually use Google Workspace for mine, and then you can add it here, and then you can go into that inbox, and basically it just does it all for you. So it sends emails for you. You'll see how many are coming back to you, and then you'll see how many are getting hit in spam, and then how many are actually being categorized. There's a free tier in the warm-up inbox, I think. If not, it's very inexpensive to use this tool. So if we go to something like custom date, and if I just throw this back to kind of when I was warming up my inbox, maybe look at January. So I wasn't warming it up in January. Let's go back a couple of years because I've now got the lead tool. The lead tool's doing it for me, so I don't need it. I can't find any stats, but you get a pretty graph showing you the number of emails that are pushing out and the numbers that are going in. What that looks like in the Leadith platform, if any of you are using the Leadith platform, is a little bit like this. Just going to sign in here. Bear with me. So that one's called warm-up inbox, warmupinbox.com. And then within Leadith, we've got integrations, and we can click on email, and same process. You connect up a LinkedIn email, and then there's a setting here which says warm up. And you can see mine's pretty much maxed out, around about 60 odd emails per day are being sent from that. Okay, and we can see how many are actually being bounced. So there's always going to be some being bounced back because it's thinking, this is junk, this is spam. Plus I'm sending around about 3,000 emails, probably about 9,000 a week, because there's 3 emails that go out per week. So it's doing quite a lot of work, but you can start to see what's going on in terms of emails that are coming out, emails that are coming in. So it does it all for you, which is a fantastic tool built into the Leadith platform. So I just want to share that one with you. So that's warming up your domain. Obviously, it's very important. These warm-up tools will work gradually, so they'll kind of ramp up what you're doing. And I would recommend clients warm up a domain, kind of a two-week warm up on a brand new domain before you start sending kind of lots and lots of genuine emails on that domain. Vital section. The next most important thing, and again, depending on what email provider or client you're using, whether you're using kind of things like HubSpot or MailerLite, other platforms, you'll need to log into your where you purchased your domain and have a look for something called the DNS. Now, SPF stands for Sender Policy Framework, and that's basically this protocol that enables email recipients to verify that an incoming email message is coming from a genuine person, an authorized source. And SPF works by allowing your domain owners to specify which email servers are authorized to send emails on their behalf. So if you're using a tool like, for example, MailChimp, okay, MailChimp's obviously got big beefy servers that they're pushing the emails from, and so the email actually goes from MailChimp's own servers, but it's actually using your email address. So basically it's like a handshake between your domain and their domain to say, yep, this is all kosher. And then you've got DKIM, which stands for Domain Keys Identified Mail. Again, this will be another thing that you'll have to add when you purchase your domain. You'll go into your DNS settings and you'll add whichever email server you're using. You can add this little bit of code, and there's guidelines when you set all this up. Either whoever you're going to choose to use will tell you how to do it and what to do it. So to set up an SPF record, as I say, go to your DNS on your domain name, wherever you purchase your domain name, and that's where you'll add in the code. And the mailing software will give you the code that you need to add in there. As I say, the next step is to gradually increase the email sending. So if you're using things like warm-up inbox or the Leadith tool, obviously that's doing it on autopilot for you. If you're doing it manually, you've got to think about, sending a few more emails each day, whether you send them to your own other addresses or whatever addresses you can find. That's gonna help. So once you've got it to that stage, you can then think about the final step, which is kind of verifying the reputation of your domain and actually checking that it's all legit. So there's several websites that you can use to check your website. Let's have a look at this one. This one's called Talos. Talos is a IP and domain reputation lookup server. So if I was to search for Microsoft.com, can't spell it, Microsoft.com, search. We can then search for all the kind of any blocked banned servers, and it tells us how kind of legit the domain is. Okay, so it's finding web reputation, it's trusted. We can see the email volume, how many emails it's pushing out from that server, from that domain. And we see a list of all the different host names and how many maybe it's blocked in places and neutral. So obviously there's no red flags coming up there for Microsoft, but that website would just give you a bit of an overview in terms of how good your how warmed up your domain is. If you want to determine kind of your email server IP, so you want to know where your emails are going from in terms of your mail server, there's another tool that I'd also use just to check, and that one's called Mail Tester, so mail-tester. And the way this one works is it actually tests the spamminess of your emails. So before you're about to run a mail campaign, what you can do is basically check the score by sending an email of, normally you can send a test email from your mailing software to this fictitious domain here, a fictitious email inbox. Once you've sent it, you then come back to the website here, click check your score, and that will give you some answers. So if I was to just send one now quickly, I'm just going to go to gmail.com and just send a test email. So nothing particularly spammy, but I'm going to send it from my main test email just as a checker. Here we go. Compose. Come on. Loading, it says. So we want it to go to that email address, which we can copy there. Here we go. Recipients. Who are we sending it to? We're sending it to some, and I'll just put the subject as test email. Send that away. So that email goes off. Message has been sent, and we can then wait a couple of seconds and then just check for our score. You get a nice little animation of a little boat rowing. Just counts down a few seconds. This is where I've got a really bad one because I've been doing a lot of email marketing on my main domain recently, so I need to go back to my .co.uk domain for email. So 9 out of 10 is not too bad. So obviously the body of the message is detected. I didn't put anything in the body of the message, but here we go. I'm only listed in one blacklist, so potentially, you know, that server could be blacklisting me for whatever reason. I don't know. So yeah, you can actually open that up and it tells you which server is blacklisting me, something called SORBS in the last 28 days. So that's affected my score, but not listed in all the other email servers. So yeah, so I'm quite happy to use that as pretty warmed up domain. I've had it for a number of years. It tells you the IP address as well, where you're pushing that email from. So that'd be directly from Gmail. But that just gives you an idea of, you know, if you're warming up a brand new domain, you want to get it pretty warm, ready for sending emails. It's a vital step in the whole process. So I hope that helps. So in summary, think about choosing a separate domain. If you can't get a domain name, try to steer clear from Gmail accounts. I mean, it's a last resort. We use them in Leadeth if people are doing one-to-one emails, but if you're actually doing marketing emails, one to lots and lots of people as part of an automated sequence, definitely try to set up a separate dedicated domain just for that outbound email. Set up your email account and then warm up the domain, set your SPF DKIM records, increase what you're doing, and then, you know, verify the reputation of your domain by making sure it's ready to go by using some of those testing sites that we've just looked at. Let's quickly move on to following up. For following up with emails, I actually kind of love the StoryBrand model. StoryBrand is a framework. It's a book written by a guy called Donald Miller. looks a bit like this. If you've not seen it, building a story brand, clarify your message so customers will listen. And Don Miller sets out a really cool framework for how to kind of compose the basically, it's driven by big movies, and the reason they hit the box office is because it follows this framework, and that's why they're a success. So he applies that methodology to any types of communication that you're doing. Number one, he talks about having a clear understanding of the customer's problem. If you can kind of identify their pain point and resonate with their problem, then that's really going to help you. Secondly, you basically start to state, what are the benefits of solving that problem? Number three is what's going to be the plan? So how are you going to solve their problem? And these are the things that you need to communicate quite clearly. Number four, consequences of not solving the problem. So what does it look like if you're not going to solve their problem? How are they going to feel, if that problem's still not been addressed? So you're really getting down into the feelings and the emotions of the thing. Number five is make sure any bit of communication you send out, make sure there's a clear call to action. What is the next step for them? What is it you want them to do? And that provides number six, what we call a vision of success. And what does success look like? If they follow your step by step, they've solved their problem, what's the world start to look like for them? And then number seven is finally, you're introducing your role as the guide, and then you're helping them, the customer, to achieve this success. So that's a really cool model that I've used. So yeah, I could share a link to the book in the follow-up notes as well. But yeah, so start to try and follow that sort of framework. If you're focused on cold email, obviously, if you're already connected with someone and they're further down the funnel with you, then you probably can start to skip some of these stages. But typically, if you line up an email and it kind of states those elements, there's clarity there. People understand what your email is about and what they need to do next. So that's a really cool model that I love to use. And and it's worked really well for me in terms of campaigns that I've run in the past. Now, these days, we've got things like ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is a fantastic tool because it's actually read the book for you. So you can just say to ChatGPT, I'm currently writing a cold outbound email. Let's actually do one live, just to show you a typical prompt that you might want to use. It's all about the context, and the more context you can give ChatGPT, the better. So give it some context around who your audience is. Give it some context around, what your goals are. So I would start with a brand new ChatGPT message, and I would just go for something like, I'm about to write a cold email to prospects. Please, in using Donald Miller's story brand framework, please can you ask me some questions that will help you to write it. So basically, you're asking ChatGPT to actually ask you some questions about, what you can do to make sure it's clear. So number one, character. Who is your target audience? What are their desires, aspirations, or needs that align with your product or service? The problem. What is the problem or pain point that your prospects are experiencing with? And then how can you solve it? The guide. How does your company serve as the guide in the narrative? What expertise, empathy, or authority does your company have? What is the plan to solve the problem? Any 3 specific steps to go from A to B to solve that problem. And then you go into the call to action. What is the specific call to action you want them to take after reading the email? Are you asking them to buy a product, subscribe to a service, or schedule a meeting? Success. If they take action, what is the successful outcome that they will experience, and how does the product or service improve their lives or business? Failure. So if they don't take action, what's going to be the cost of them not moving forward with you? And then we've got the transformative piece, which is, where are they going from and where are they going to? So that before and after painted picture. Now, if you just put in, a few more words back, answering each of those 8 questions, ChatGPT will then actually compose you a really compelling email. Okay, and it'll optimize it really well for your target audience. So obviously it will kind of draw out the pain points and things on the email. So that is a really fantastic way to kind of create those cold email pieces. So that's ChatGPT. ChatGPT 3 is the free one, 3.5. I pay $20 a month for ChatGPT 4. Gives you loads of extra things, like you can upload files to it. So if you've already got like a StoryBrand framework, then you can actually paste that StoryBrand framework in as text. So it will basically have all the answers. So as a test, I'll just show you how that works. I'm going to do my own business. So my StoryBrand is where you go for if you want to start to kind of map out some of this stuff. I know, Steve, you've done yours, haven't you? How did you find that whole process? Was it helpful?
Yes, it was really helpful. It's great. It's a great focusing tool, and it's even on the free one, it's really nice. It was good exercise.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm basically just selecting the raw text. I'm missing off a little bit on that bottom one, I think. Copy that, and then I'm just going to chuck that into ChatGPT to give it a bit more information. Okay, so it's just reading all that information that I've pasted. So based on the framework information you provided, here's a cold email template for you. So it's actually coming up with a subject line for me. And obviously, if you wanted to try other subject lines, you could do that. If you wanted to A/B test this, you could actually get it to A/B, split test what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, it's literally dear prospect name. It's adding a bit of context in terms of the challenges. Creating an effectively generating system can feel like an uphill battle, even if you find overwhelmed, anxious, wondering where your next customer will come from. All this stuff is gold, because that's what my clients are currently feeling. You're not alone in this struggle, so you're resonating with them. And then we're starting to introduce heath, bit of validation, the previous clients we've worked with and stuff like that. And then we talk to them about the 3-step process, and then we move on. We've got a next step is all about the strategy calls, which is fantastic. And we're also promoting the 13-week online lead gen masterclasses to help support people. So it's all about adding value, really. So it's an easy email. But yeah, I mean, a few little tweaks on that email, and I'll be happy to push that out to cold prospects to introduce them to the lead. If it might be a bit on the long side, but you can get ChatGPT to shorten it down, and also make sure you always choose English. I wish there was a default for that English, because it always puts Americanisms in for us in the UK. So there's a super duper quick blast on, how to leverage, OpenAI, ChatGPT to generate effective emails. Now, how we go about automating these campaigns within the Leadeth tool is what we're going to come out and look at next. So if you're not using the Leadeth tool, because probably the bulk of people out there don't actually have Leadeth, the nearest thing to it is a system called Apollo, and it's free, and you get 25 email credits per month. And it's a nice way you can just start to get the ball rolling. And the way Apollo works is you start up here with, it's called search, and that you start with your audience. So we're actually going to find prospects. And again, you've probably seen a lot of these filters in different things. So I've got, here we go. I've got marketing directors in England. Here's one I made earlier. You pre-program it as a persona. So I've got 3,600 potential marketing directors who are of the size company that I like, those small companies. I can see the number of employees as well. So this is the Apollo data set. And what we're doing is basically selecting, I'm limited to just 25 at a time, but I can basically choose 25 prospects and then get their email addresses. So these are verified emails. And as I say, they cost basically a credit. Now I'll share a link to my, I think I've got a referral link to Apollo, which will actually get you about 50 credits when you start off with them. The actual system, if you wanted to use it as a system, it's about £100. I think you get unlimited emails, then you can literally go mad with it. But the idea is you build out sequences, and the sequences are basically a chain of emails that go from one to the other. And we're talking about cold email at this stage. This is what we're doing. This is targeting completely unknown people. When we're retargeting existing LinkedIn connections, that's much warmer, and better to do. So I've got here one called reply rate interested. So this is a campaign I've run. It's called LinkedIn Influencers, highlighted prospects on LinkedIn, and you can see what I'm doing. I'm basically, going in with a bit of a salesy message. We can see the stats, 36% open rate, 5% have actually replied, and those that have been positive replies, you can see around about 7 interested emails that have kind of moved forward to maybe a meeting or a demo, and a few opt-outs as well. So my sequence basically looks like this. Leadeth helps you build your pipeline by implementing an outreach system to generate book calls. Clients average is 40 to 60 book calls per month. So I don't actually follow the framework, but there's an AI assistant built into Apollo, and this is freely available on the free plan, which is fantastic. So you can actually use, what sort of email are you writing? Is it a outreach email? Is it a follow-up email? Or is it your final last digit attempt to getting hold of them? And you basically put in your company or your product name, what it is you offer, your pain point. So again, these are very similar to the Donald Miller template. What's your value proposition? What's the call to action? And then, if you can put in a bit of context or a good review from someone else, that helps really to kind of put that into context. And then you click generate, and then it actually takes a couple of minutes and will start to generate. So here we go. So this one was based on a photography campaign around photographers, and we can see how it's generated. A couple of emails. There's 2 options there, which is, it's done it all for you. Now, if you like the idea of using AI within email, there's also another tool which you might want to check out, and that's called Get Luna, completely free. Head over to getluna.dev, and that works in a very similar fashion, except it learns every email you send, so it gets better and better. So just to show you, I think I've sent all my free credits out this month. So you get 25 free credits every single month. So that's potentially 25 opportunities for you to send prospects. So yeah, I've got none left this month. But the idea is it spits out an email like this, cold email, and it suggests the prospect. So you go to leads, and you can go to your settings here. And this is where it learns about your business and what you're doing, which is really cool. So if you go to leads, you put in, who you're targeting, different industries. You can put in company keywords if it's relevant, the countries that you're looking to target, any specific regions, and then the size of the business, any technology stack, and different extra things there if you pay for the premium version. That suggests you a big long list of leads, and then basically it goes off and produces you the email. So if I go back to managing the lead list, you can actually go to the email. So you can basically start to have a signature, import a signature if you want, and then on the back of it, you get this beautiful email suggested, hi, first name. And the idea is you tweak this ever so slightly and put it into your lingo, and then you basically click schedule email, and that will push out, and then the next one will come up and you can tweak the next one. So if you're new to emails and you just want to have a play around, connect up your inbox, your new domain that you're looking to warm up, and just use a tool like this. That's 25 every month, really quick to push out, and then you can do follow-up emails as well if you want to. So yeah, if you want to generate a brand new email to this person, it will basically do it in 8 seconds, it estimates. Let's have a look. It's taking its time. There we go. So yeah, it's basically just generated a completely different email, but it's really relevant because it's talking about supply chain recruitment, and that's obviously what their business is all about. So yeah, that's Get Luna. So yeah, don't want to dwell on too many tools and things. You get a bit overwhelmed. Great. So it's now 20 to 10. Let's have a look at big takeaways. So yeah, encourage you to kind of take action on what you've learned today. Start implementing some of these little strategies, and they'll really start to kind of help you out. Obviously, within the Leadeth tool, I don't like to kind of show my tools off too much because it's just the paid clients that get access to this. But basically, we've got campaigns, and we can go to create a new campaign within the tool. And then we've got a simple campaign. We can choose email only. and then we can go add a step, and we're basically sending an email. And then we can put in a personalized email subject line. We have got AI coming to the platform in the next couple of months, which will be really cool. And then we can also add a follow-up step. It might be another email a few days later. But because we've got our own database built into, we've got our own prospect finder built into the tool, it means we don't have to go to things like Apollo for data, because we're actually accessing the same data directly here in the tool, where we can just access all these prospects straight away, which is really cool. So that's a quick overview of Leadith and what we're doing with Leadith. So yeah, big takeaways. So let's come to Steve. He's been making notes, loads of notes. So it'd be good to know what have been the key takeaways for you, Steve.
The first takeaway is to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a lot of good stuff there. It was interesting just how susceptible a domain can be to being blocked. And I never even conceived of just the low hanging fruit of having another domain, which is definitely an eye opener. And also there's tools out there that gets you going with the email campaigns, even if it's 25. It's a place to start. I did have a question with regards to when do emails become part of your CRM in terms of your prospect listing. You can go to something like Apollo and do a query and get, like, you had 3,500 come back for a particular inquiry. But when do you actually treat them as part of your CRM platform?
I always tend to put them in as a positive lead. That's probably a bit over for me. So if you're getting a positive response back from them wanting a bit more information, wanting to come along to a masterclass, wanting to book a strategy call, they're all positive actions from them wanting to kind of progress things further.
Okay.
So obviously you'll get a lot of non-interested replies and things like that, which is, fair play. Why would you put that into a CRM if they're genuinely not interested? It's pointless in nurturing them and having them hoarding up space in a CRM, although a lot of them are unlimited. But, data changes and you've got to have good quality data. So let's not get distracted by, the nonsense, and just have, those quality. That's my take on it.
Okay, that makes sense. If you had a cold if you started with a cold email, just to kind of see what response from the market is, and if you get on your first email, do you have a chain for cold emails in terms of, do you send them multiple?
Yeah. So going back to my, for example, my Apollo list, that would be a 3 email sequence. So with cold emails, I would try 3. Okay. If they're not coming back to you after the 3rd, you've either got a deliverability issue or they're just very much not interested. But normally you'd get a response back after the 1st or 2nd or 3rd email. So yeah, 3's kind of take 3. Make sure there's an unsubscribe option for them, because it is cold email marketing, and be compliant with that from that regard. So what we're doing with Leadith is we can actually download all those Apollo contacts, so 25 a month or 50 a month, however many you want to pull out. That's also when you're pulling Apollo data, often you'll get a LinkedIn URL, and then that means we can not only send them a cold email, but we can start to connect with them, view their profile on LinkedIn as well. So you're creating what we call an omni-channel approach, where you can tap into their LinkedIn inbox, where they might be a bit more responsive, because everyone assumes email is, you kind of expect it with email. Whereas LinkedIn, if you've got a connection campaign going, you're connecting with that person personally and they're accepting the connection request, boom, you've got their full attention. And you can kind of circle back and forth, which is why the Leadith tool is really good, because it captures both places. And we've got SMS, text messaging coming into the platform in a month or so, which is even just amazing, because you can now send a nice follow-up text message saying, hey, did you check my email or whatever? And then that's going to just keep nurturing those prospects in your flow. Gotcha. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, and then just it's nice to just kind of get an idea of those free platforms, like you said, Apollo and Get Luna.
Yeah. A question from Valeria on the chat there. Thanks for insightful. Wondering about GDPR compliance of the email data from using these platforms. So yeah, all these platforms are compliant with GDPR in terms of most of the kind of email addresses are validated email addresses that they have. I've had people say, can you opt me out? And they always basically turn back to the system provider. So if you're getting a lot of spam and, you can say, oh, how did you get my email? They often just hold a mirror up and say, we got our data from Apollo. You need to contact Apollo and get removed from Apollo. So Apollo becomes the data controller as such. So that's seems to be the typical workflow that I've seen. Normally, I haven't seen any backlash in terms of people wanting to be unsubscribed too heavily. As long as you make it clear, keep your unsubscribe link in there. Obviously, this is B2B. It's legitimate interest. Hopefully, what you've got is going to resonate with the people that you're sending it to. So it's not completely out there. There should be something here where it's linked. I hope that helps a little bit. In terms of what I'm doing with LinkedIn, obviously you're connecting with them on LinkedIn. I see that as a legitimate consent. They've shared their email address on LinkedIn. That's great for you to then send a courteous follow-up email to say, hey, we've connected on LinkedIn. Just wanted to send you my contact details and see if we can further the relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. Great. Okay. Anyone else? I haven't checked the live stream chat, so I'm just going to head over to LinkedIn just to see if there's any lingering questions on there before we wrap up today. Have you got some homework now, Steve? You're going to get into this email stuff. Oh, you're muted still, and I'm not a very good lip reader.
It's in the background. Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to get a domain. I'm going to find a domain now today, and knock that out. Because
yeah,
the sooner the better. The sooner I can get it up, the longer I've got to warm it up.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the key thing here. That's the best way of doing it. If you want to be, protect your current domain as much as you can. Try not to use that domain for too many kind of cold campaigns and things. So when I sign up with any tools like Get Luna and things like that, I'm signing up with my my .co.uk domain, and I've actually got a forwarder. It's a bit cheeky in my Google account, which basically forwards any replies to my personal inbox, and it says, hey, this is just a marketing email. Your message has been forwarded on autopilot. So if they do reply, at least I can see it and I can catch up with it. Mm-hmm. Just going to quickly head over to the live stream just to see what's going on with that. See if there's any questions there. Bear with me. Click here to join live. This is where I'll probably get an echo of myself talking. There's lots of plugins as well. Apollo do a plugin for Chrome, which is quite cool. There's a question there. You talked about everything about verifying reputation of domains. You also mentioned email test software, checks reminisce. I think that was just a bit of a, can you explain this further? Email. Spamminess of emails going out. Can I explain this further? So someone on LinkedIn there, Favor, who's an account manager, was asking about the verifying the reputation of domains, the mail tester software, and can we do this for every single email that's sent out? So so if you're going to use the email server software, I actually didn't put the test subject line in and the body content. So if you're using something like MailerLite, you could actually test the spamminess of that email using MailerLite. So when you go to send a test of the email, you can actually put in that test URL and test it from that end. Or if you're using MailChimp to send the marketing emails. Again, if you're using Apollo, there's an ability to send a test email from Apollo, and it'll obviously preload it with the subject line and the body. And then based on that spam score, that will tell you, how that email's doing. Quite a lot of these email tools like Woodpecker and other ones like that are mainly focused on email are now starting to have a spam score attached to before you send it. So you can actually, as you're composing the email, if you use the word free too much or the word phone, things like that. There's some obvious spammy words that probably get hooked up But yeah, have a play with it. Play with the different software tool that you're in. That mail tester is purely just a generic one that I found that seems to work quite well, and actually check your domain for spamminess, as well as the content for spamminess as well. So I hope that helps. That's all. Thanks again for everyone for joining. Next week, we have, let's just have a look what we've got. Oh, I didn't do a plug for the school group. I better do that super quick. So just for those of you that are aware, we've now got a free community where we're bringing together lead generation experts and marketing specialists and just small business owners who are looking to generate more leads through LinkedIn. The platform sits on something called School. It's a relatively new one that I've new to the marketplace. So you've probably not heard of them. SKOOL, and it looks a little bit like this. I'm just going to share my screen one last time, promise. Share screen. This is School. And once you're into School, we're actually /leadeth. That will take you to our School page. Within School, I'll actually log in because I'll show you what's kind of running up behind the hood. We've actually got a bit of a chat discussion, things what I'm seeing, what's trending. I try and share it with the community there. We've actually got a classroom within School where you can kind of go through those 6 stages of my client journey. Stage 1 and stage 2 are actually unlocked, so you don't even need to pay me anything. That's just content sat there ready for you to kind of dive into. And then we've got all the back catalog of the LinkedIn lead generation masterclasses that I've done. Last week was quite cool, though we looked at kind of using AI a bit more within your LinkedIn outreach. There's a calendar, and these are all the events that are coming up. So this month we've got we've got the weekly masterclasses. Clients have drop-in calls that they can do. And sometimes I do some Q&A, open Q&A sessions if you want to chat a bit more about strategy or anything like that. We've kind of gamified it. So there is levels that you can work, and there's some unlocks at different levels as well. So that's the Leadeth community, leadeth.io /school if you want to go there. So it's Leadeth, LEADETH.io /school. That will take you to the sign up page there if you want to be a part of the community and watch the recordings. Yeah, but thank you for joining us today. Next week, we're moving on to the next stage, which is content. And we're looking at video content on LinkedIn primarily. But in general, it's all about getting yourself out there on video, some top tips. So I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Great. Thanks very much, Alex.
You're welcome, Steve. Cheers for hopping on.
All right, no worries. Great.
It would have been a bit lonely with the 3 or 4 kind of muted ones, but thanks a lot.
No, more than happy to. I've got some good stuff, and I'm going to go work. Going to go to work now.
Perfect.
Take
care.